Hey, Scrappy Peeps, Suzanna here today for Elle Studio to share with you this layout that I created using primarily the Teal Acetate Alphas as well as some other goodies from Elle Studio. I have already pulled the letters that I want for my title. This title is actually going to be a large title layout. It ends up being the bulk of the layout, and the title is "Look Around at How Lucky We Are to Be Alive Right Now." It's a phrase from Hamilton, and it's a quote, phrase, whatever they use it is in the song. And these are pictures of my husband and daughter at Hamilton. They had scored $10 tickets in the lottery, front row seat tickets. And so the idea was the journaling talks about how lucky they were to get such great priced tickets in the lottery. And I thought it was appropriate to use the quote to talk about that particular story. So I ran out of T's. I had used them because I've used so many letters here. And so that F is going to turn into a T is the idea. And what I wanted to do was, I went with the teal, and to me it looks more green, but we'll go with teal. Teal and blue as the primary colors on the layout. And then I'm going to use cork, you can see there, as sort of a punctuation to break that up a little bit. I like the way that it ties the darkness of the photos in and their skin color into the stark white layout there. And then I have other bits and pieces. That 3x4 card is from the February kit, and then the other punch out, so there's going to be a little banner that says fun, and I believe 2 of the labels are from the February kit. And then you see I have some of these other blue labels that I am not sure. Over the years, I have lots and lots of Elle Studio labels, and they all just end up in a big Tupperware container. Actually, it's a 5x7 photo box. When I break apart my kits, they all the labels, the print and cut labels, end up in there. These may actually have been from the February kit that I recolored because I wanted to do something in particular with one of the cards, and that video will hopefully be coming up, but I did recolor a bunch of the labels, and I'm going to guess that that's where these blue labels came from, the ones that aren't from the actual February kit. So I like to have trios of things around my layout, and so you can see that I end up having a trio of the cork stars with the blue labels, and that's how I'm going to break up the lines of this large title here. So there's one behind the photo, there's the label that's going to have the date at the top there, and then the label with the star banner on that bottom left. So these bits and pieces I am going to go ahead and adhere and commit to, and the cork I am not going to put down because I want to do some stamping on top of these teal alphas, and I don't want to accidentally get ink on these. I also know that it might be difficult to stamp around the raised edges of that, or the raised cork, and so I know I don't want those there. But most of the rest of the elements I am going to go ahead and set down so that I know that they're going to fit around the letters there. I've arranged the layers, but you know how things go. When you pull things up, things tend to start to shift. So I am using Ultra Bond from Thermo Web to adhere these acetate letters down. If you look at the close-ups, you can actually see the adhesive behind the letters, but when you look at the actual layout itself, you don't really see the adhesive. And what I found was it was better to create, see on that scrap piece of paper there, a puddle of the liquid adhesive and kind of wipe an edge of the letter through there. You do not have to get full coverage on the acetate to get it stuck and adhered down. And so that was what was going to provide a really thin layer on a good chunk of the letters. So this is where I turn the F into a T. I'm just going to cut all the way across that F and then turn that into a long arm for a T right on top. And then later on, I'm going to stamp on top of that, and that camouflages it, and you really don't even know that I have pieced that together. You'll see that in the close-ups. So I fast forwarded through this. It's super, super quick because literally it's just me dragging the letter through the glue puddle and then sticking it down. And I will do the same in a little bit with the stamping. I wanted to create a little bit of a different effect. I wanted to personalize these letters. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my large Jane outline stamps. There they are right there, and some StazOn ink. The acetate you cannot stamp on. Well, you can stamp on it with regular ink, but if you do it, it'll smudge like nobody's business. So the StazOn is a solvent ink, and it is better for porous materials such as glass and the acetate, and it doesn't slide when you stick the stamp down. If you were to use a dye ink, it would slide around on the acetate and definitely smear. But you can see from my stamps here how the StazOn, even with the StazOn cleaner, definitely stains your stamps more. It's just fine. You can still use them, but because of the solvent, it does absorb more into the clear stamp. So I'm going to go ahead and it's pretty random. I think I did not do all of the O's, but I think, I can't remember what I did, but I randomly, I tried not to do, I didn't want every one. I just wanted some of them. I will tell you that I did try doing, I used the dotted large Jane Alpha on some of them in white, and you couldn't see it on the white background. So I think I tried that out on a Q, and so no, it was a J, and so I just, I didn't end up putting it on the layout because you can't really see white StazOn on top of a white layout. Even on the acetate, it becomes rather opaque and you can't see it. But you could use the black or any of the darker colors. So you can see I got some of that ink on me, and I tried wiping it off. I am not going to wipe it off well enough, and it is actually going to leave a mark on one of the edges of the paper, which I'm going to end up having to cover up. You do need to be careful because the ink does take a lot longer to dry, and so you can actually smear it, which I am going to do shortly. I'm not sure how I ended up doing it. I think I had ink on my hand, that's what it was. And as I was sticking things down, I rubbed through one of the letters. It was actually the G, and then I'm going to end up with ink on that right hand side. So this is a die cut for Lucky to complete the phrase. Actually, it's not going to complete it, but to contribute to the phrase. And I'm going to use some some Jane stickers, Jane Alpha stickers in navy, and that will complete the title, but that won't come till the end. I'm going to stick everything else down, and I knew that I wanted, you can see the Jane stickers that are there. I knew I wanted them to be in the squiggly arms on to the left and the right of Lucky to complete that title there. But I'd already committed to all the rest of this and wanted to make sure that I got them stuck down. The cork is best adhered down with liquid adhesive, so I'm going to go ahead and use that. There is a pin that I use to close up that metal tip, and that is what stops me from having to clean it out every time. But if you don't get it in there right away, things do dry up pretty quickly. So I've just pointed to where I've smudged that G, and I see the ink on my hand, but I don't really think about it. And so, yeah, we're going to run into some, right there. See how I got the ink on there? So what I was doing, or what I am doing, is I'm using stickers from the Be Happy sticker sheet, and I'm just putting those around the page. They're phrases. I had a banner from the kit that I was going to put in that top left cluster, but I didn't like it there, and it ended up being a perfect sort of tone on tone to just cover up where I had an ink smudge. So this is where I'm going to complete the title using these Jane Alphas. I'm just going to use my tweezers to do that, and that will complete the full title to say, look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now. The funny story about this is that we were actually, it's a tradition in my family that on Boxing Day we go for a walk. This is a tradition that my mom and dad had begun when I was a child, and so we do try and take my children for a Boxing Day walk. So that's the day after Christmas, December 26th, and we happened to be, I think we were about an hour and a half away from home, and Michael got the tickets on our way out there. So where the show was not in Richmond. It was another hour the opposite direction west. And so he booked a hotel, and they came home, quickly showered and changed, and then headed out to Hampton Roads, I believe it was, to go and see Hamilton. You only get a day's notice, and so off they went to see the show. I am going to use some puffy stickers, again in the blue, just for little punctuations of that darker blue to break up the darkness that's in those photos. And now I have got the mini dated extras stamp to stamp the date in that large label up the top. It's the perfect length to use the full month, as well as date and year, obviously. And then I will journal in that 3x4 card that's between the two photos off camera, because those of you who know me know that I cannot do that on camera, nor do you need to sit and watch me do that on camera, is my feeling. So here come the close-ups. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to leave them in the box down below. Thanks for stopping in today. If you enjoyed the video, I'd love a thumbs up. Thanks for stopping in today. Hope to see you soon. Take care.